Ever heard of zombies in the world of proteins? Well, meet the chronic wasting disease. This is not your typical zombie apocalypse story, but it's no less terrifying for our four-legged friends in the forest. Chronic wasting disease, or CWD, is a creepy crawler in the world of wildlife diseases, targeting deer, elk, reindeer, and moose. So, what makes CWD the zombie of proteins? Well, it's all about prions, misfolded proteins that cause other proteins to misfold too, much like a zombie turning others into zombies. But instead of a city or a town, this zombie apocalypse is happening inside the brain. Picture this: your brain proteins are having a really bad hair day, but instead of just looking a mess, they're wreaking havoc on your neurological functions. Spooky, right? Now you might be picturing a deer with a chaotic hairdo, but it's a bit more serious than that. When these prion zombies get to work, they cause a progressive, degenerative, and ultimately fatal condition in the animal. Yes, it's as grim as it sounds. This disease is relentless, and once it starts, there's no turning back. But how do you spot a deer with CWD? Well, you can't exactly ask them if they're feeling under the weather, and they don't turn green or start walking with their arms outstretched. Instead, they show signs like drastic weight loss, stumbling, and a lack of coordination, or even changes in behavior like loss of fear of humans. So, if you're out in nature and spot a deer that seems to be having a bad hair day, metaphorically speaking, you might want to keep your distance. Remember, this isn't a horror movie, it's real life, and in this version, there's no popcorn or comfy theater seats. Stay tuned to learn more about this fascinating and slightly terrifying world of protein zombies and the real-life impacts they have on our wildlife and potentially on us. What does a deer infected with CWD look like? A star in the Drooling Dead? Yes, you heard it right, ladies and gents. Chronic wasting disease has some symptoms that would make any horror director giddy with excitement. Let's set the scene, shall we? The spotlight falls on our unfortunate star, the deer. Suddenly it stumbles, its coordination thrown into chaos. It's like watching a late-night partygoer trying to walk a straight line. But this is no laughing matter. This poor creature is in the throes of a real-life horror show. Next, our deer exhibits an eerie lack of fear towards humans. It's as if it has been hypnotized, forgetting the natural instincts that have kept its species alive for centuries. It's like that one character in every horror movie who decides to investigate the creepy noises in the basement. We all know how that ends, don't we? But the most chilling symptom of all? The drooling. Not your average just woke up and haven't had coffee yet kind of drool. No, we're talking about excessive, uncontrollable drooling. It's a sight that would make Dracula himself squirm. This is where our deer truly earns its starring role in the Drooling Dead. Now, a quick disclaimer. Not all drooling deer are infected with CWD. Sometimes a deer just has a bad case of the drools. But if you see a deer displaying these symptoms, especially a lack of fear of humans, it's best to keep your distance and alert the local wildlife authorities. After all, in this real-life horror story, there's no director yelling cut when things get too scary. So, if a deer starts drooling at you, it's not because you're looking tasty. Well, hopefully not. But in all seriousness, remember that chronic wasting disease is a serious threat to our wildlife. And while we've added a dash of humor to lighten the mood, it's crucial to remember the reality of the situation. So, let's keep our heads, stay informed, and do our part to protect the wildlife we share this world with. The idea of CWD jumping from deer to humans is the sequel nobody asked for, much like Jaws on land. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the woods, this stealthy disease lurks in the shadows, ready to pounce. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. The chances of this happening are low, but it's not zero, and that's enough to make us sit up and pay attention. This scenario might ring a bell. Remember the mad cow disease scare? Yes, that was another prion disease, just like CWD. Back in the 90s, mad cow disease made the jump from bovines to humans, causing variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. That was a horror show we don't want to rerun. Now, just to be clear, there's no evidence yet that CWD can infect humans, but we also can't say it's impossible. Prions are tricky little beasts. They don't play by the same rules as bacteria or viruses. They're rogue proteins, and they can change their behavior in ways we don't fully understand yet. So what's the plan? Well, we need more research for starters. Scientists are working hard to understand how CWD behaves and how it might evolve. We're also keeping a close eye on people who eat venison, especially in areas where CWD is common. But here's the thing, we don't need to panic, but we do need to be cautious. If you're a hunter or you enjoy venison, make sure you have your meat tested for CWD. It's a simple step that can help you stay safe. And it's not just about protecting yourself. By preventing the spread of CWD, you're also protecting our deer populations and our ecosystems. Remember, always test your venison. It's like checking for bones in fish, except perhaps a bit scarier. But hey, a little scare now is better than a big scare later. Let's keep the Jaws on land scenario in the realm of fiction, where it belongs. In the scientific world, CWD is the villain with a near 100% fatality rate. Talk about a successful horror villain. It's like the Freddy Krueger of diseases, always lurking in the shadows, ready to strike when least expected. But unlike our on-screen villains, there's no script or predictable plot twist to guide us here. Every day, dedicated researchers are on the front lines, battling this invisible adversary. They're the real-life superheroes, donning lab coats instead of capes, armed with microscopes and test tubes rather than lasers and shields. Their mission? To unravel the mysteries of this formidable foe and to find a way to halt its deadly progression. The world of prion research is like a thrilling detective novel, filled with twists and turns. Scientists have been studying these misfolded proteins, trying to uncover their secrets. How do they replicate? How do they cause damage? And most importantly, how can we stop them? These are the burning questions that keep our scientific heroes up at night. But the stakes are high. If CWD were to cross the species barrier and infect humans, it could have serious implications. It's a scenario straight out of a dystopian novel, and one we're striving to avoid. Hence, the importance of ongoing research into CWD cannot be overstated. In this battle, knowledge is power. The more we understand about CWD, the better equipped we are to fight it. And while the fight is far from over, every new discovery brings us one step closer to victory. So, let's lend our support to these tireless researchers, cheering them on from the sidelines. Their work is vital, and their dedication is nothing short of inspiring. It's a battle they're fighting on behalf of all of us, and they need all the support they can get. So, let's keep our fingers crossed for our scientists. They are our only hope against this villainous disease. If CWD jumps to humans, it's not just a wildlife issue anymore. It's a full-blown public health crisis. Imagine having a neighbor who's a zombie. Not the most comforting thought, right? Now, replace that zombie neighbor with something less Hollywood and more real. A deer carrying chronic wasting disease. This is the reality for communities that rely heavily on hunting for their sustenance and economy. If the disease makes the leap from deer to humans, it could potentially have a devastating impact on public health. We're talking about a disease that is nearly 100% fatal in deer. What if it held a similar fatality rate in humans? That's a horror movie no one wants to star in. This is why it's crucial to monitor the wildlife populations for signs of CWD. The earlier we detect it, the better we can contain it and prevent it from potentially spreading to humans. Think of it as being in a zombie movie and having an early warning system for when the undead are about to descend on your town. Only, in this case, the zombies are deer and the town is our global community. For communities that heavily rely on hunting, this is even more critical. Hunting isn't just about sport or tradition in these places. It's about survival. It's about providing food for families and fueling local economies. If CWD were to infect humans, these communities could be hit hardest. Their primary food source and economic driver could become a ticking time bomb. So what can we do? Increased surveillance in wildlife populations is key. We need to keep a close eye on our deer, elk, moose, and reindeer populations, testing for CWD and taking action to prevent its spread. It's like adding more lifeguards at a shark-infested beach party. Absolutely essential. In dealing with chronic wasting disease, erring on the side of caution isn't just wise, it's a survival tactic. Imagine, if you will, a world where the deer population has turned into a scene straight out of a Hollywood zombie flick. Now, let's reel it back to reality and understand that while this is a humorously exaggerated picture, the underlying concern of CWD is very real. And that's where the importance of comprehensive research and studies come into play. Just like how a chess player anticipates their opponent's moves, scientists and researchers are constantly studying the patterns, behaviors, and impacts of CWD on wildlife. Their goal? to stay one step ahead of this disease. It's an ongoing battle, a final showdown if you will, between human intelligence and a microscopic misfolded protein. This battle isn't just about saving Bambi's cousins, it's about preserving the delicate balance of our ecosystems. Deer, elk, reindeer, and moose play vital roles in our natural environments. They are not only a source of food for predators, but also help in seed dispersal, thus aiding in forest regeneration. The fight against CWD is also about protecting human health. Remember, prion diseases have a history of crossing species barriers. We don't want a rerun of the mad cow disease episode, do we? So, the research isn't just about keeping our wildlife safe, but also about ensuring our own safety. The narrative of zombie deer is entertaining, sure. It adds a dash of humor and horror to our discussion, but let's strive to keep it within the realm of fiction. Our real-world efforts should focus on understanding and combating CWD to ensure the health and safety of both wildlife and humans. So in this final showdown against CWD, we need to be the vigilant ones, the ones who don't shy away from a challenge, the ones who value life, be it human or animal. So stay alert, stay cautious, and let's keep our brains prion-free. Before we say goodbye, remember to stay vigilant, like a deer during hunting season. Our journey through the land of chronic wasting disease, with its zombie proteins and drooling deer, has been both informative and, we hope, entertaining. But the story doesn't end here. This is an ongoing saga, a battle between nature's quirks and human resilience. We need to keep our eyes open, our minds alert, and our humor intact. That's our best defense against the unexpected. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to continue exploring the wild, weird, and wonderful world with us, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell icon. You'll be the first to know when we drop our latest video. Until next time, keep laughing and learning. And remember, stay healthy and keep your brains prion-free.